Pain. That is the word that comes to mind as the Cardinals figure out a way to lose another series to the Colorado Rockies. Get your barf bags ready. It's time for Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm JD Hafron, and I am your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Follow me on X at JD Sports Radio, the podcast at LO_Cardinals on X. We're on YouTube. If you want the visual version of this show, that's cool too. You can see how disgusted I am as the faces I make describing what we just saw from the St. Louis Cardinals in this series. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. You can catch me there as well at Locked On Cardinals. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and trying to give the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. All right, so let's get into it. The 2025 St. Louis Cardinals have got to be one of the most frustrating teams in Cardinal history. Certainly one of the most frustrating since I've been covering the team. I mean, I've been watching them since I was a little baby, but, where you watch them day in and day out when you become one of those guys, it's crazy to me how frustrating these guys are. I don't even know what to say about them anymore. One day they looked very much engaged in what's going on and energetic. Look like they're meshing and they're going to be a team that's going to be a force to deal with for a couple of weeks. And the next day they look completely different and they look like they're asleep at the wheel. It's like the most bipolar team I can remember. I mean, how do you go from winning 2 out of 3 on the road against the Dodgers? You come home, you win 2 out of 3 against the Cubs, 2 very good teams, right? And then lose 2 of 3 at home against a team that is on pace to have the worst record in the history of Major League Baseball. How do you do it? How do you do it? It's mind-boggling to me. Like, you have this chance where the teams in front of you are not playing all that great, and somehow you're still here and you've got an opportunity. There's some light at the end of the tunnel. And then you completely blow it. I've witnessed some bad losses over the last couple of years since I've been doing this podcast. And Wednesday is certainly one that it looked and it smelled and it tasted like a W for 8 innings. And to watch it disappear in a flash, it made me want to throw up. It made me want to throw up. And I don't mean to offend any Rockies fans because it's not your fault that the team is they're not very good, right? But to lose games like this to Colorado makes everything feel worse. I mean, you are what your record says you are. And the Rockies are not a good team. The last time I feel like this gross about a loss was back in 2023. And yes, I had to look it up because I couldn't remember which month it was, but it was in April of 2023, end of April. And it was a game in San Francisco, and the Cardinals had all but sealed up this win, and it looked like it was going to put them on a nice little path to becoming a better team. And Helsley gives up a walk-off home run. They lose. And I don't know why that one stands out to me so much because there's been plenty of crappy endings and losses for the Cardinals since then. But for whatever reason, that one stands out. I just couldn't believe it happened. I remember I was getting ready to go live on the podcast, and I was typing up all the happy thoughts and getting them ready. And then poof, they're all gone. And I was just left just so unfulfilled. It was just like, what just happened? And that's how I felt after this one. Now, 2023, as we know, a horrible season for the team. Losing season. First one in 25 years, something like that. The Cardinals were terrible that year. Nothing went right for them. The team is better than that team. This year's team is better. It's much younger, that's for sure. So you kind of have to expect some inconsistencies with some of these guys. But at the same time, it's August now. The time for that crap is over. This team has no business losing 4 of 6 to the Colorado Rockies. They don't. Cardinals are not a great team. I know that. But still, losing 4 of 6 to a team that has 28 other wins against the rest of the league is ridiculous. The fact that you were even trying to split with them is a little ridiculous. To do it when the rest of the NL, it was somehow allowing you to hang around in this wild card discussion and to fall apart against the Rockies. Of all teams, it's awful. The Cardinals held leads on Wednesday of 2-0, 3-1, 5-2. They could never shut the door on the Rockies offense, who just showed more fight and more energy and more heart than the Cardinals did at the end of this game. The offense, which had done a really nice job against Rocky starter Austin Gomber, who has not won a game this year. They did fine against him, left-hander. You know, they hit him well in Colorado in the previous series, too. The only game they won in that series was against Gomber. And after he leaves, they just go into this shell after the 5th inning. And early on, it felt like, all right, they got something to prove. They came out and swinging the bat. You know, they came out cooking. 2 outs in the second. Newt singles, the JC singles. You get that big hit from Pedro Pajes, who, you know, has been kind of the whipping boy for the Cardinals fans recently because of his lack of offense and the fact that they just keep starting him, even though Pozo's a better hitter. But he comes through. Another clutch hit. 2-run double gives the Birds a 2-0 lead. Rockies respond with 1 in the top half of the 4th, which was an inning that could have been much worse, but McGreevy got that big double play ball to squash the rally. Then in the bottom half, Lars Nootbaar returns with a vengeance, rips a home run to make it 3-1. And normally that's a great sign. Coming into the game, Cardinals were 11-1 in games that Newt had homered in this season. It was his first dinger since July 8th. This is August 13th. I know he's been banged up, but still, the power is just poof, vanished for Newt. But you had it back to a 2-run lead. Rockies cut it to 3-2. They don't stop, and that's when Alec Burleson stepped up. He smokes a 2-run shot to right field to make it 5-2 in the 5th inning. 106 off the bat, and at this point, I'm thinking that should do it, right? Like that should be enough. McGreevy looking good. Bullpen is rested. All the big guns out there ready to roll if needed. This one's over, right? And then the offense just punched out. They just took the rest of the game off. They didn't have a single hit off the Rockies bullpen. They got no hit over the final, 4 innings? They didn't even have a base runner. None. 15 up, 15 down for the offense over the final innings of the game. How does that happen? After the Burley home run, they didn't have a hit. How does that happen? How do you not even get a walk? Nothing. Down 5-2. The Rockies went to Nick Anderson. It's not like they brought in one of their studs. Same guy that got released by the Cardinals in May. They brought him in. And he throws all of 10 pitches. First 2 guys were out in 3 pitches. And he breezes through his inning. And that became kind of what the rest of their bullpen did. The next guy, Hill, 13 pitches. Herget, 12 pitches. Vodnik, 10 pitches. This isn't the Padres, who just have all-stars coming out of that gate every inning. But the Cardinals sure made them look like them. They didn't look good at all. The offense goes 1 for 5 with runners in scoring position a day after going 0 for 9 in RISP situations and 3-0 loss. They were 3 for 13 on Monday, so 4 for 27, if my math is correct, in the series against the Rockies. You're kidding me. There's no excuses for this. There's none. It's got to be better, plain and simple. You can't be like this. New Burley and Pages had 6 of the 9 Cardinals hits. Nobody else really did jack. Donnie's 0 for 5, hitting 196 over his last 56 at bats. He's not a leadoff hitter. Why is he still batting leadoff? He was so good when he was batting third. But no, we just keep batting him leadoff, even though he sucks at it. He's a good player, but he's just not as good at the top of the order there. Find somebody else. I had somebody hit me up and say Mason Wynn should be starting at leadoff against left-handers, and I kind of threw the numbers at him at how bad Mason Wynn has been as a leadoff hitter. Somebody else. Do something else because it ain't working. Try something new. What do you got to lose? You're losing to the Rockies anyway. The loss also, because a lot of the attention here was on the offense, but the loss also takes away a solid start from rookie Michael McGreevy, who did his job once again. But then the bullpen can't stop throwing it down the middle in this game, which led to the disastrous 9th inning where JoJo made the one error that almost always leads to certain doom if you're a relief pitcher. We'll talk about all of it coming up next on Locked On Cardinals. If you're running a business, you know that every missed call is basically money left on the table. All right. You own a business and you get a phone call, but you don't answer the phone, right? That person's not going to just stop calling other businesses to get some help with whatever it is they need. They're going to move on down the road, and that's going to cost you money. That's why having a reliable business line is so important, and that's why you need Open Phone, which is the #1 business phone system that helps you streamline and scale customer communication, all from an app on your phone or your computer. If you're somebody who's had to juggle 2 phone lines, one business, one personal, they'll separate it for you. Open Phone will solve that instantly. Your whole team will be able to share one number and respond to customers as if you are all talking to them from a shared inbox. So no question about who's handling what. You're all on the same page. You got AI agents, which handle the after-hours calls, the common questions, and captures leads so that you never miss a customer again. Open Phone is offering Locked On Cardinals listeners 20% off your first 6 months at openphone.com/LockedOnMLB. That's OPENPHONE.com/LockedOnMLB. And if you have existing numbers with another service, Open Phone will help you there. They're going to port them over at no extra charge. Open Phone. No missed calls, no missed customers. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. Leave your comments on YouTube as well as on X or TikTok anytime you want. Your feedback is always welcome and encouraged. I cannot wait to get into the comments after this game and this particular series because people are going to be spewing venom, and that entertains me because I don't normally get as worked up as I am today after this. And I can only imagine what the people who normally get worked up are going to be like. So we'll have those in your Cardinal Confessionals coming up on Thursday's show when they have an off day. But let's get back to Wednesday. Michael McGreevy, he's had one bad game since taking over Eric Fetty's spot in the rotation. He's had one. Took it on the chin against the Padres for 7 runs and 4 2/3 innings back in July. Since then, 3 starts, including this one where he's gone 6 innings on all 3. Picked up wins over San Diego and the Cubs. And he did exactly what he was supposed to do on Wednesday. He should have got a W in this one. 6 innings, 3 runs, 7 hits, one of them a home run to Mickey Moniak. 2 strikeouts, nothing spectacular. Michael McGreevy's not a spectacular type of pitcher. He's not going to thrill you with a bunch of strikeouts and stuff, but he gets people out, which is good because that's the key to the game. And he has another quality start here where he never surrendered the lead. Cardinals got him the lead, never gave it up. Had to pitch around some trouble in the 4th inning, but got that big double play, as I mentioned, after 3 straight hits and holds the Rockies to just 1 run in that inning. Good job. Limiting damage, right? Stopping the bleeding. That's important. 5th inning, they got him for another 2 straight singles, but he limits that damage. Only gives up 1. Then in the 6th, he lays a big old beach ball changeup right down the middle to former #1 overall pick Mickey Moniak, who's having a nice bounce back season with the Colorado Rockies. I'll be curious to what his market looks like this offseason. See if anybody wants to give him a decent multi-year contract. but hits his 18th home run over the wall in right center, cuts the lead to 5-3, but it's still 5-3, and part of the problem was letting the leadoff guys reach base. It happened a lot today. Not only doing that, but also throwing the ball down the middle of the plate. We're learning that it's very, very bad, aren't we? And the Cardinals had to learn that lesson the hard way once again today. It doesn't matter if you're playing the Colorado Rockies or you're playing the Milwaukee Brewers or the Toronto Blue Jays. Just like the good teams, the bad teams, if you throw it over the heart of the plate, they're going to hit you eventually. It'll happen. And it happened a lot in this game. The home run demoniac right over the heart of the plate. Horrible pitch. Kyle Leahy comes in for the 7th inning. Bullpen really got beat up in this one because of their lack of being able to throw it anywhere but over the heart of the plate. Kyle Leahy comes into that 7th inning. His first pitch to Kyle Karros. Slider right down the middle. Smokes it for a leadoff double. Comes around to score after a wild pitch. Moved him to third base. And a sac fly brought him home. The sac fly almost got out of the ballpark, too. It was a slider. Guess where? Right over the heart of the plate. He's lucky that one didn't land in the stands because off the bat, it looked like it was going to carry out and go about 3 rows deep, but ended up staying in the ballpark. So 1 run, 5-4 ball game now. Then it's Riley O'Brien's turn. First off, credit to Ollie. Smart move. Replaced Ivan Herrera in left field. Defensive movement. Moves Newbar over to left. Victor Scott goes into center field. And it's a good thing he did it that inning because Riley O'Brien fooled absolutely nobody today. They were shooting missiles into left field. It's almost like they were like, oh, target practice. It's like they were doing it on purpose to New. You know how like a coach takes a fungo bat and just starts hitting fly balls and line drives over to the left fielder for practice? That's what it looked like off Riley O'Brien today. First pitch that Riley O'Brien throws over the middle, base hit. 2 pitches later, sinker down the middle, smoke to left, 99 off the bat. Newt snags it. 2 pitches later, again, sinker over the middle. Ezekiel Tovar rips it. 107 off the bat. Somehow Newt tracks that one down. I thought that was in the gap for sure, and that was a tie ball game. 3 pitches later, another sinker over the dish. Base hit to left at 100 miles per hour. 2 pitches later, a slider right over the middle of the plate. Hanger, lace to left, but Newt's in the perfect spot. 90 miles per hour off the bat. All they did was hit the snot out of the ball off Riley O'Brien today because all he was doing was throwing it right down the middle. I don't know how they can't scoot it over and hit the corner. I don't understand it. O'Brien was lucky that 3 of those didn't have better launch angles because those would have been home runs, no doubt. They'd all have been over the wall. But he lives to fight another day. And Ollie made a great move by putting Newton left field. Then JoJo comes on in the 9th inning. And what's the cardinal rule for relievers? And I say cardinal rule not because the St. Louis Cardinals, but just what's the number 1 rule? You do not walk the leadoff hitter. Credit to Karros, who was the leadoff hitter, and he did not chase anything that was low. Romero walks him on 7 pitches. Everything he was throwing, that if it wasn't a strike, which was only 3 of the 7 pitches he threw, they were all way down low. He was having trouble elevating his arm angle, and I just knocked something over there. His arm angle he was throwing everything below the knees. Couldn't get it up in the zone. And it was a precursor to what would happen in this inning because Romero's command was clearly off. He did not look sharp, and he wasn't getting ahead of anyone. Rockies start unloading the bench at this point. He falls behind Brenton Doyle, who's the pinch hitter. 3-1 count before coming back and striking him out on an absolutely nasty slider. That thing was dirty, although it did go right over the heart of the plate. But it was a 3-2 slider, and he wasn't looking for that at all, and it was pretty dirty. The next guy, though, off the bench, all-star Hunter Goodman, burned him on Tuesday. JoJo falls behind him, 3-1, and he serves up a juicy sinker. Guess where? Right down Broadway. If you go look at the box on MLB.com, right down the middle in that box. And Goodman does not miss. He blasted 436 feet to center field, gives the Rockies a 6-5 lead. As soon as it left his hand, I was like, oh, shit. An absolute cookie. a gift, if you will, a please hit me type of pitch. And it immediately sank the hundreds of fans who were in attendance because there was nobody there. And what looked like a third straight series win is snatched away in a blink of an eye. All the momentum that the Cardinals had built after taking out the Dodgers and taking out the Cubs, it's gone just like that. You just blew it. It's all gone. The fact that Leahy, O'Brien, and JoJo were all off on the same day, that's mind-blowing to me. When does that ever happen where everybody sucks? Did they all go out to the strip clubs the night before, like in Varsity Blues? What happened? What the hell happened? And it's hard to, get on these guys because they've been really, really good, right? I mean, it's not like this is a common theme that we see these guys have an issue. Since taking over the role, since the trade deadline, they've been very good. And the Cardinals overall have been really good in these situations all year. Heck, it was only the third time in 61 games that they've lost a game that they led going into the ninth inning. But it's the Rockies. It's the Rockies, man. If this were another team, I probably wouldn't be as worked up about it. If you saw this happen against like the Mets or the Brewers or something like that, you'd be like, well, those are pretty good teams. And so, closing them out, it's not easy. It's the Rockies. The only other team the Rockies have defeated more than 3 times this season is the Washington Nationals. 4-3 against them. They only have a winning record against 3 other teams. The Marlins and the Twins and the Pirates. In their 6 games this season against the Rockies, the Cardinals have been outscored 27-18. What? This is a historically bad hitting and pitching team. And they got blanked 3-0 on Tuesday. Like, what? How? How do you blow this? Very frustrating. I'm trying to remain calm. I'm getting calmer about it as the night continues on, but bro, it's like I've said for most of the season. They are the most, they're like dancing. 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. It's what they're doing. They're whatever kind of dance that is. That's the Cardinals this year. And it is very, very frustrating. I want to go back to Tuesday night's game real quick because I want to talk about Matthew Liberatore because everybody was very concerned about him after looking so good. And then everything went bad and the velo dropped, and we've got some updates on things with him. So we'll talk about it next, coming up on Locked On Cardinals. Breathe. We've all been there, logging on early and waiting forever for concert tickets to go on sale, only to lose your spot for a show that you've been dying to see. And live music should be about making memories, not dealing with the stress of ticket shopping. That's why I trust Game Time. You should trust Game Time as well. And I'm not talking about just concert tickets and shows, obviously sporting events. The NFL's coming up. MLB season is still here. You want to go see the Yankees this weekend with the Cardinals? You get to see Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge, one of the great players in the league. Why wouldn't you want to watch that? Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever. Prices drop the closer you get to showtime. You could save up to 60% with their killer last-minute deals. Game Time zone deals. Pick the best seats in your section for you, whichever section you choose. They give you panoramic seat views, so you know exactly what the hell you're looking at. No surprises when it comes to that. The price you see is the price you pay. They don't hit you with a bunch of hidden fees because that's not cool. So take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thank you again for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On MLB Game Night. It's every game. It's every night. It's all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find MLB Game Night on the Locked On MLB YouTube channel or wherever you listen to your podcast. Myself and John Frisch from Locked On Angels will be hosting once again tonight. So if you want to see us talk about the rest of the league as well as bitch and moan about the Cardinals and the Yankees, or not Yankees, but the Angels, we can do that too. But it's a good time, so we appreciate you coming by. Anyway, Matthew Liberatore, he struggled again on Tuesday night. Not so much that he pitched really that bad, although his command was off. You know, he was having trouble getting on top of the breaking ball. But he started off looking terrific, right? You know, that first inning, he fans the side. He looks awesome. He was hitting 95.4 miles per hour with the fastball. But later on, things fell apart. And he's been struggling to pitch in deep into games. Heck, we're not even asking him to be deep into games. I mean, we're not even looking for 6-7 innings at this point. We just want to see him get through 5. That would be nice because he hasn't done that in quite a while. Was unable to get there once again. And I mentioned how he's been hitting what we call the rookie wall that guys tend to hit in their first year in the big leagues. Now, of course, this is not Matthew Liberatore's first year in Major League Baseball, but it is his first year as a member of the starting rotation. So it's not surprising. It's only natural that eventually he would start to wear down due to the amount of innings that he's throwing for the first time in his Major League career. So I'm not all that concerned with that, but where things started to be like, uh-oh, was when you saw the velo drop again. That's a separate issue. That had alarms going off a little bit because you worry about some sort of injury. The velo dipped from where it was at 95.4 in that first inning as low as 91.7 by his 13th pitch of the 5th inning, according to baseball savant John Denton, who said that for the game, the average velo on his fastball was 93.6, down from 94.1 that he had averaged over 22 starts while going 6-10 this year. Now, we saw him deal with a similar situation like this earlier in the year, if you remember, where all of a sudden the velo was down and everybody was like, uh-oh, do we have an arm injury here? Is he okay? Ended up just being a mechanics issue and just was like, I'm reaching back to throw it. It's just not there. It's a mechanics thing. Not long after that, he was back to normal. And here we are in the dog days of August, technically still within striking distance of the NL wild card. I'm not putting the nail in the coffin yet, although it feels like we should after losing to the freaking Rockies, because that certainly poured some ice cold water on the dream for the NL wild card possibilities. Still a lot of baseball left, though. But they say, Ali said that, you know, they're going to monitor things closely, but it doesn't appear to be a health issue. That it's just, you know, something that's he's dealing with. Maybe he's going to go through some dead arm stuff at some point just because he's tired. Like, the heat this summer has been unbearable. So I can see why some of these guys are wearing down quicker in games. But maybe knowing that 4 innings is kind of the cap for Libby moving forward will allow the Cardinals to better prepare the bullpen for, you know, piggyback games of some sort. I know Katie Wu from The Athletic mentioned something like that on her X account that, you know, maybe that's something they can kind of plan around where it's like, all right, it's 4 strong innings. You're still a starter, 4 strong innings. And then we can find somebody else like a Leahy who can stretch it to 3 or Swanson or somebody like that. Like, it just gives them a chance to plan for it better. I'm glad he's not hurt. Cardinals don't have a lot of depth for any injuries for certainly the starting rotation. So don't want him going down with anything because I don't know who you're going to replace him with. They do have a day off on Thursday. Yankees are in town this weekend. Andre Palante scheduled to start on Friday. I would love to tell you that I expect them to bounce back and be better. I don't know what we're going to expect. You know, if the team comes out of that clubhouse and it looks like the team that took the field against the Dodgers and the Cubs, then I'd expect a fun series. I don't know if they'll win it, but I expect it at least to be entertaining and fun. If the guys that came out against the Rockies end up taking the field, then they'll probably get swept because the Yankees are a better team than the Colorado Rockies. So, bing, flip a coin as to what the hell we're going to get from the Cardinals in this upcoming series. So, super Debbie Downer. losing this series to the Rockies. Again, all the momentum kind of sucked out, and now you got to start over again. But that's what these Cardinals have been most of the year. They're a 500 team. That's who they are, and that's probably where they'll stay. But very, very disheartening series loss, and just a normal game loss on Wednesday when for 8 innings it looked like you had this one in the back. Thanks for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, please give us a follow on X at @LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio, TikTok, and Instagram at Locked On Cardinals, of course, on YouTube as well. If you haven't subscribed, would love to have you on board as we push for 13,000 subscribers. Through the good and the bad, we are here with you each and every day. You guys are the best fans in baseball. We'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.